Joyce guy, Erik Joyce MP. There was actually an incident in the bar at Parliament, because they've got their kind of like recreational bar or whatever. Not the bar like when you go to the bar, like the bar of Parliament, but like the cafe or canteen or restaurant of Parliament, so to say. Not like the bar of the law of the bar, like in a court. Although they're meant to have one of those, right? This is the guy. Well, I'm sure this must be it, because if there was a headbutting involved in the Parliament bar, so this is it. There can't be two incidents like that. But for some strange reason, when they gave this out on the radio at the time, back then, when I was listening to it on the radio when I was out working, I had this image in my head of more like actually that MP at Frodsham. Maybe when they told the story, when you think of, like, you imagine it in your own head, like, I was imagining it more like someone kind of like with the stature of Andrew Bridgen kind of build, or that guy that has just this incident just now, this weekend at Runcorn, more of a kind of like older MP. That's what I actually thought it was, and I didn't think that anything happened to him. I didn't think that he actually got charged or anything. Now, I've just looked it up, and this is the guy. He was a Falkirk, a Scottish. Well, I knew he was Scottish, I think. I'd heard he was Scottish, but I think I was thinking of somebody kind of like Alex Salmondy sort of character when they said a Scottish MP. Because I just said, like, Scottish MP, I guess I was thinking more like Alex Salmond, although Alex Salmond is not necessarily like Andrew Bridgen, but he's passed away now anyway, but not Andrew Bridgen, Alex Salmond. But it's this guy. It turns out he got drunk because he's a Labour MP but Scottish, and he were having a go at Tories. I thought it was something to do with a text message. I'm sure it was something to do with a text message or something like that, but I'm not sure. But it's just basically to give a briefing of the story, and apparently he hit a few people. He didn't, according to this, I don't know if any of the newspapers have changed all the stories or whatever, but apparently he punched a few people and then headbutted one of them. He was just apparently saying there was too many Tories in the bar. I think that he got provoked somehow. I think that it was provoked into it, and I think that, this is my opinion, I think it's done very similar to, like Boris Johnson's Dad's Next Door Neighbour and things like that, because, there's all sorts going on with me now. Look at Kingsley Hamilton. He had those fire engines outside his house with those strange EV fires. It's almost like get Khan out, get Kingsley out, get him out of his house. How can we get Kingsley out of his house? Set two EVs off and get the fire brigade there. I don't, this is just my opinion. I don't think these are just random, naturally occurring incidents. I think there's a provocateur. I think that this guy, in my opinion, I think that they might have been doing some sort of texting or messaging to try and provoke him, get him annoyed, things that they knew would get him annoyed, and then when he was in the bar and a few drinks, set off with the MPs. Or maybe they even said something to him in the bar. Maybe they were even, giving like, sort of, in fact, funny, because I can't really show you it now, but I was just watching YouTube last night, and was it an Alan Partridge sketch or something like that? And there were two Tories in a bar. I think it was actually quite recent, but they were going on about being queer or something, and it was basically like a sort of Alan Partridge sort of sketch, and they were dressed as really old peers in like a gentleman's club, but a Parliament gentleman's club, and they were sort of like going, yes, definitely queer, yes, must be queer, definitely queer, certainly queer, and all this, that kind of thing. Maybe they were saying something like that behind him, and then he got annoyed. But that's the thing. I think he was provoked. Now, it's interesting because I'd never seen this MP before, what he looked like. And to be honest, I don't know if I remember his name. I just thought they said the Scottish MP. I remember the radio saying Scottish MP, and he headbutted someone in the bar at Parliament, or in the restaurant, in the cafe, whatever, after he had a few drinks. Now, I'm sure I did search that story. I'm sure I searched it one point in the past, but I never saw any images or anything. Now that I've seen this guy, this Erik Joyce, he's actually a very, I mean, he's almost like, he looks, I mean, he looks like sharp, you know, or even, you know, whatever you want to call him, 009, you know, he looks like sharp. What's he called, that guy from Rotherham now? Just trying to remember his name, the actor who's in, he was like the opposite agent of 007, wasn't he? He went over to the other side or whatever. Or is it Sean Bean, is it, or something? Yeah, Sean Bean, that's his name. He's a very kind of Sean Bean sort of character, this guy, by the looks of him. So he was quite youngish and handsomish compared to the other MPs, I would have thought at the time. But Labour, he does look, I mean, looking at him now, if he's Scottish and had a few drinks and he's from Falkirk, I guess you can kind of see that, you know, maybe after a few drinks it could get a bit rough. But we've just seen that guy out for a few drinks on the lash in Frodsham, you know, and he was rowdy. So, but what the newspaper's actually saying on this, it's claiming that he did actually go to court and he did actually get community service order, and he did actually get fined, and he actually made this speech in Parliament, and there's an actual video for it. But this is on BBC News. This is not on YouTube. And so he did actually get prosecuted. So I don't know how they did it. I don't know whether they did it actually as they traditionally are meant to do in between sessions, or what. But he stood down anyway. He stood down. But I don't think you have to stand. I'm not sure if he was asked to stand down or he chose to stand down. The thing is, they phoned the police, right? This is what I think is, you know, a bit kind of tragic and sad, really, in a way. They're meant to have sergeant at arms, that they're meant to have their own, like, soldiers or their own police, their own guards. Parliament are meant to have their own unit. Now, I know that if you look outside Parliament and you see that Audit in Britain guy go around, he's like winding them up, but they're all there with, like, you know, weapons, you know, armed police, you know, like you see at an airport, proper armed police, right? Like proper armed police. So, but I thought they're their own, like, these are the, you know, sergeant at arms, right? Although, you know, I'm not expecting them to be walking around like Oliver Cromwell, you know, with like metal shield, metal helmets, you know, or anything like that. And they've got the black rod, but the black rod is only one person, but the black rod's meant to be in charge of the sergeant at arms. I'm guessing they've modernised, and I'm guessing like it's a little bit like the police who are assigned to the Prime Minister at number 10. It's just the police, but it's like a special unit, right? This is the police unit. You know, like you've got this unit or that unit or bomb disposal unit, or it's still City of London Police. But I thought that they kind of like would call them maybe the police that were called, because I mean it's not really. This is the thing, they've got police around Parliament for the job, haven't they? They're all armed. So I mean, if they are effectively the sergeant at arms, you know, they're a unit of police assigned to Parliament. But it's when Sir Robert Peel made the Met Police and so forth, you would have kind of thought that. I don't know, you've still got a police sergeant, you know, it's... Maybe the newspaper or the BBC are just being a bit vague. Maybe it actually was the police that are assigned to Parliament, and maybe they kind of really are the sergeant at arms in a way. But I don't know what the relationship to the Black Rod is to them, because they're meant to be kind of separate from the police, because there could be something what happens if the police do something wrong, or it's Matt Rowley or whatever, or the chief of the London City Police is not the Black Rod. So I don't really know how they do it now and how they divide it and what it is, but the modernisation of it, I thought Parliament are meant to really have their own police who they can order around, but I'm guessing now that they just ring up the chief of the City of London Police and say, do this or do that, kind of like they've got their own 77 battalion or brigade or whatever that are taking stuff down from YouTube, but not enforcing our things up on there that are meant to be up on there. Like, get a certificate from the Speaker. Can you put my signs and notices back up that I'm directed to share on the Petitions Committee website? Where is the bar of Parliament? It's I don't like all the this is what apparently this is the thing to do with John Bercow. I've just been reading his new page. Well, he doesn't have his website anymore. There's another page up about John Bercow now on one of the universities. All this reformation and modernisation of Parliament and so forth. I don't really like it, to be honest. I think it's a bit boring and a bit. What annoys me, right, is that there's so many lords in Parliament now. They're getting more and more people in there who are doing less and less. Or less and less engagement with normal people. They're all kind of like, I think they're like bond agents like Baroness M on a yacht and this Lord Walney with his MI5 security services assignment. There's never been ever as many barons and lords in Parliament, but they seem like spare pricks in brothels. I mean, they can't all be meeting Che Guevara or going to Venezuela and diplomatic missions to Mars or whatever, or these weird, odd rewards they get for these. Just like, what has this person done? What has that person done? What has the other person done? Oh, he negotiated some Fabian, Tony Blair deal to help implement modernisation into foreign governments so they can better manage their own governments, or AKA so we can better manage their government for them, covertly or indirectly, through directions, and the rest of it. Ask George Galloway. I mean, George Galloway effectively should, how is George Galloway not a member of the House of Lords now? Did he turn it down? He wanted to get elected as an MP. That John Prescott, that other Labour politician, was it John Prescott or whoever was in there? I forgot his name now. You'd have thought George Galloway, to be honest. He was over in America in front of the court, wouldn't he? But he was sent. He was doing. He's doing all these things. He's going to all these countries and he's doing all these things with all these leaders of other countries. Putin, BRICS, you name it. Loads of stuff in Middle East. Jeremy Corbyn, I think Jeremy Corbyn told us one of his stories when he was over in South America, when he was in a new MP and he was younger and he was doing all these things in other countries and there were all these spy agents following him around and, trying to intimidate him and things like that. But I'm quite surprised, but obviously George Galloway wasn't doing the things they wanted him to do. Maybe he was, not the bond agent they wanted him to be. Maybe, he didn't do as directed because, clearly, well, then again, to say that, he got sworn back into Parliament recently. He managed to get elected and get back in again. But then again, Baron Denman wasn't the best friends with the king, apparently. He was a Whig and he was opposed, and that's around the time Parliament burned down and everything, and then they had the Parliamentary Papers Act, and then they stopped saving petitions, and not that long after the Luddites kicked off, and then by the time they got into the early 1900s, then there was the suffragettes and so forth. But there's loads of kind of things going on. I don't, when you see these lists of these barons and lords and all the things they've done to get the award or reward, many of the things it's usually given by the prime minister of the political party that's in government. So it's usually with Starmer now. It will be people who are serving the Fabian agenda. People now will be only put into the Lords, I would have thought now, if they're serving Tony Blair and Nick Clegg's world domination Starmer takeover bid. If not, I can't see him getting awarded or rewarded. Although God knows what Liz Truss's honours were. But, what do you need to do? I mean, if you're going against Starmer, what much honour can you get? I think that's what happened to George Galloway, because he clearly wasn't in a good books with Gordon Brown and Tony Blair. So I don't really know how there can be any decent people in the House of Lords anymore if they've all been primarily these figures who have been with these particular agendas. But there are some Lib Dem ones in there, and then you've got these peers who have got hereditary, what Starmer's trying to take them all out and remove them all. But not all of them are necessarily hereditary peers. There's that guy I just read the other day by Complete and Total Chance in the newspaper that Russell Brand's wanting to change the planning permission on his pub so he can make it into a recording studio, and everyone in the village is annoyed about it because they want actually to have a working pub in that Piss Hill place, that Crown Pub or whatever. And Brand wanted to make it into a vegan restaurant, he claimed, or recording studio for his YouTube and everything, and have guests over, but they wanted it to be an actual pub because it's a really old pub, for use. And then there was actually one of the peers actually in the newspaper was quoted to be, he was up for helping the villagers kind of like oppose Brand. And this peer lives in a huge hall, I don't know if that's what they call them anymore, a hall or whatever, massive estate. Which I've been to places like that before for work, really. Been to all kinds of different places, every different type of place you can think of, really. But that particular peer, apparently, according to the newspaper, he is from a family of a peerage, of one of the rare peerages that survives from actually supposedly before the Norman Conquest. So before William the Conqueror, so like Anglo-Saxon peerage, and because they most of them lost their lands through the various conflicts with William the Conqueror, unless he was allies with them. I would have thought that in order to do that, you'd have had to be strong allies with them, after they come over. But apparently he's got that, he's got that lineage from before the conquest. So that's a peer in well, I don't know if he's an active peer in Parliament or if he's just got the peerage and not actually in Parliament or not, but they're the type of people that Keir Starmer's trying to get rid of out of Parliament. But you'd have thought that those type of people are going to be the people who want to kind of like protect the country and Magna Carta and the ancient customs of this. Well, basically to protect, what the identity of the country, because it seems ridiculous to me that the point of the army is to protect this country. I don't really want to get into racism or anything, but it's the best example that you've got supposedly is, if you've got a paint set and you've got all your colours and your paint set, if the red, keeps going yellow, if somebody keeps putting yellow paint in it and mixing it in, it's not going to be red anymore, is it? So you're not going to have your primary colours. So it's protecting what it is. And I know that Europe is made up of, diversity, but, the general Western European is kind of, whatever identity compared to, India or Africa or whatever. And we do have a lot of disputes and arguments with Eurovision. I'm not saying that we get on perfectly with Europe or whatever, but there's meant to be something there to protect, which seems to all of the politicians now seem to have kind of cast that into the wind. They're wanting to do the complete opposite, which is quite difficult. But when other countries are your allies and they're working with you, I think it's different because you're allowed to, you're allowed to cooperate to a certain extent. But countries that are regarded not as allies, as opponents, like at the moment Russia, I suppose. But ironically, we're more similar to the Russian people than we are, for example, to Indian people or Chinese people, right? Without any prejudice. But what is it that is actually being protected by the army? Just our own currency, our own economy. There are ancient customs as well. When you start reading Magna Carta and all of the original laws, you're meant to actually be protecting, right, the actual, it's almost kind of like, David Attenborough trying to protect animals in a way, because, you've got all these different diversity across the planet. It's almost like, dolphins going extinct or whatever, but they don't want to see it like that anymore. They're trying to get rid of that ideology and say that everyone's the same. And the only thing that differs in the countries is the laws, right? Russia has these laws. Australia has these laws. America has these laws. So the laws are different. There's a language, right? And there's an economy which has its own financial regulation. That's really all what Keir Starmer and Tony Blair actually believe there is now. And that's the only thing that is debatable or arguable. Okay, they want to integrate that with the world and they want to sort it out so everything's monitored by AI and tech and central governance and surveillance. But there's more to it than that. It's the humans, but the humans is to do, why are the laws a certain way in this country? The laws are set by the people, which are set by the beliefs and the religions, right? Because they've got behaviour, and as a creature, look, right? You can't, it's like the zoo, isn't it, right? Law of the jungle. What are the customs of lions and tigers, right? They're not the same ancient customs as zebra, are they? Or, buffalo. They're different, right? And I'm not saying that humans are that drastically different, but there clearly are different customs. I mean, India's got, and what they were doing, they were introducing, we got tea, and then we've got, like hookers and incense, and they're importing spices in. So you've got this merchant trade, which is trading and sharing merchandise, but they used to have laws and regulations on it. They stopped a lot of trading. In fact, some people were petitioning Parliament that they wanted, to stop even felt and things like that. It was harming the economy and so forth. But I think the thing with the laws is that what's being protected supposedly in the Act of Settlement is meant to be the laws are what they're like because of the people who come up with the laws. Therefore, the ancient customs, which what is the point in preserving them? Why would they try and preserve them? Because that's what we are and who we are. And then when you get, the Crusades and then the cross on the flag, you're absorbing people in, right? But they're becoming slowly naturalized to that country. And then they take on our customs, right? Now, we do kind of adopt some other customs like tea, because that's the thing, we adopted, but we didn't always have this tea thing. I think Freddie Mercury I don't think people realised this was going on, with the whole Freddie Mercury thing. He's got kind of like an Indian kind of sort of look, and the whole tea thing with the Union Jack and so forth and so forth and so forth. But what happened is, I think in the late 1800s, there was a thing with the Chinese having loads of opium dens everywhere, but we were the ones who were trying to be selling it to them over there, but then they were coming over here with it, and then they put a ban to all that. And then we've ended up in the 80s with all these Chinese restaurants and Indian restaurants and so forth and so forth and so forth. And that's absorbing cultures. But then, obviously, then you get the religious, the mosques and so forth. Oh, well, if these people coming in, they got to... I think at one point, what's happened is, rather than saying, okay, these people are coming to England, then we're naturalising them to become Christians and English, what has actually happened is they've said someone in the government has decided, or the government has decided that, right, what we're actually doing is we are becoming multicultural, and I don't like that word multicultural, because you can have multicultural by saying, like Bristol, it's got graffiti, it's got street artists, it's got opera music, it's got dancing, it's got break dancing, it's got Scottish fiddle music, it's got that's multicultural. It's got ballet, it's got theatre, it's got that's multicultural. But then you've also got things from other countries as well. Like you've got, I don't know, yoga and things like that. What Indians used to do yoga, and it was big in India, like yoga and flexing and all that kind of thing. Meditating, Buddhism. Say, right, okay, we'll have all these things in here because, we have to accept all these people and let them practice their things. But after a while, now what we're looking at is, well, just a minute, they're actually, now, it's not just, okay, we've got all these cool, interesting, different things, but then it's like, just a minute, these people don't actually agree with the laws that we've got. They think they should be changed or different, which means that they're actually saying, no, let us practice our customs here. But then now they're effectively, Rishi Sunak and Priti Patel are like, well, actually, now we're here and now, you've kind of like accepted some of our traditions and customs. We're going to change your customs and traditions because we don't like them. And, they need to be changed. Well, I said, well, just a minute. Well, what about yours? You just made us accept your customs. You've just had a big hoo-ha about not discriminating against your customs. We let you practice them, but now you want to take ours away, right? And then you realise, just a minute, what is actually going on here? And then, just a minute, well, aren't they scrapping everyone's customs? Surely McDonald, and then you realise, well, what happened to all the businesses and companies? Before the big mills and this kind of like Luddites thing, an explosion of machinery in factories, right? There was all these petitions to Parliament about trade, weavers, felt makers, card makers, you name it, people making things, skilled artists and people like Keir Starmer, highly skilled. Well, the Luddites, unfortunately, I see Keir Starmer now as a Sir Robert Peel, invented the police force, and, Parliament burned down, and, they were, Robert Peel and the King were the best friends with Baron Denham, who was like the Whig and trying to sticking up for his rights and so forth. And, all for the machinery and all for the police force, and, more crimes, good, as long as we're making more money. We don't care if the crime's going through the roof, we're not going to raise the minimum wage, like, fuck you all. That's what Starmer's doing now. But ironically, Starmer's like, oh, my dad was a toolmaker, a skilled man. Well, we had skilled people, we had felt makers, card makers, you name it, all different kinds of trades, right? And people were petitioning Parliament, for, can we stop people importing felt? It's taking our business away from us, or, about can we change the taxes or levies on this or that? All these different artisans, highly skilled artisans, tradesmen, groups of them, groups, sir, yes, sir, groups, sir, groups, the felt makers of Cheltenham, yes, or the weavers of Gloucestershire. But now they're not petitioning Parliament as individuals, as groups, as communities. What's actually happened is they've been bought out, because with the Luddites, they wouldn't raise the minimum wage. They said, you're staying poor, we're getting filthy rich, and you're all going to be unemployed, the rest of you, with the rest of the machines taking over your jobs. So the crime's going to go through the roof. Now we've got a brand new police force, get your baton out, bang, right? We'll get the police on you, right? And this is the thing. And now, even all the companies that did well are all bought up by, Secret Charles with his secret BlackRock Vanguard trillions at disposal entity, which are all owning ones in foreign countries, which are actually foreign countries buying even our Royal Mail, which is meant to be reserved for the court's secret letters going backwards and forwards. But now it's consent, submit, accept to foreign entities. And now you've got all these social media companies which are using their own laws, overriding our laws, and getting you to submit, consent, accept, which is an invasion from Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Sergey Brin. Like, foreign, they're allies, though. They're allies, don't worry. The ally countries are coming in with their laws now. Don't worry, their laws are replacing ours. Because once you've consented, submitted, and accepted to every American law coming in, taking over, we won't need English laws anymore, because you already submit, consent, accept to all their stuff. And now Keir Starmer's going to make it so you can't even say boo to a fucking goose. Starmer, right? My father was highly skilled, a toolmaker. Bollocks. They slaughtered the fucking skilled craftsmen of this country and their trade unions, and they're petitioning. And it's all gone industrial. They said, you're not having a minimum wage. A big middle finger to the fucking minimum wage. Get the police to beat the fuck out of them, right? Starmer's model is an insult to toolmakers and skilled craftsmen, right? And now he wants a global Fabian kind of global government with the same laws, absolute surveillance and everything, all owned by Bill Gates, and tough, right? And as for ancient customs, bollocks to them. They don't exist, because those laws are an obstruction to the empire. They're an obstruction to Bill Gates's plans. Not that it matters, because he's a corporate private entity with his own privileges. Fuck citizens, fuck voting, right? Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg's effectively Bill Gates's, Luke Skywalker. He's Padawan. He's fucking up and coming, pure greed, pure ownership of everything. He is. Might as well be his son, might as well adopt fucking Zuckerberg. Gates might as well fucking adopt Zuckerberg. He's his new model, the new model Gates, right? And they're just going to own everything. And, everything's going to be assessed. And so they're going to decide, or AI is going to decide how we should behave. Not nature, not actually a biological being that we actually are and were with our own quirks. Because, fuck quirks. As Larry Fink says, we're going to control behaviours. Right? Behaviour is not natural anymore. It's going to be, programmed. Simple. Programmed. Programmed behaviour. So this is their big reset. All of the individual unique characters and behaviours are going to be reset with the new digital behaviour. The digital prime behaviour, which that's an absolute insult to all these laws that they're making against racism and, religions. Oh, no, accept these religions, accept these different religions. What about our customs? They're actually writing them off. They're actually erasing them with a rubber, rubbing them out. They don't actually... The Fabians, Starmer doesn't want there to be religions, right? Because religions get in the way of corporate policy and the global strategy, right? Yet he's saying all the time, oh, we're inclusive. Bollocks. It's not inclusive. Our ancient customs and traditions here prevent Starmer from doing the World Economic Forum strategy. It's impossible to fucking do it. You can't do it with the ancient customs, and you can't do the World Health Organization either. It's impossible to fucking do it, right? And he needs to pull the roots up and write it off. Yet he's a fucking lying bastard, right? He doesn't even know when he's being anti-Semitic, or he claims he doesn't. No, we'll do assisted suicide, If you don't worry, all the things we're distressing you with, we can make it all go away. If by the time we've put you through the prisons and the police system and the new ridiculous behavioural rules, and locking you up for posting stuff online, if that ain't fucking driven you nuts and up for suicide, then we'll give you a helping hand. Even though it's written in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. I really don't think Starmer, right, has a fucking clue what the fuck he's doing. And I don't care how many meetings he's been to. I don't care how eloquent and diverse and complicated the fucking language he's using when he's at these meetings with Klaus Schwab and Tony Blair and Charles and Bill Gates. I don't care what cocktail parties they've got. I don't care what meals the chef's knocked up, whether it's, Gordon Ramsay or whatever. I don't care what complicated strategic plans they've got, because they can't be that complicated because they need AI, right? They're the most intelligent people on the planet, planning the future of the world, but even they need AI to help them, because their ideas can't be that good, because now they're getting AI to come up with some ideas for them, right? Which means that they can't be that. Oh, I'm not surprised they need AI. Starmer needs AI when he's writing off the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Oh no, but we're going to disregard that. I'll argue in court whether it means that or not. No, okay, then you decide what, is that red? No, it's rouge. Oh, it's just like burgundy. Bollocks, Starmer. It's fucking killing. This is the thing. Look, it's red when Keir says it's red, but Keir's going to go into court and argue that it's burgundy, so it's not red anymore, is it? It's more of a brown colour. Like, fuck off, Starmer. It's fucking red, right? Thou shalt not kill. Assisted suicide. No, assisted suicide is not really murder. I'll make a strong case for it. Bollocks. And make a strong case for it. We'll debate it in Parliament. Well, you better debate it in Parliament, because if it's fucking red, you're fucked, because you're going to prison because it's anti-Semitic, and they kick fucking Jeremy Corbyn out for fucking that. But he's still in there. This is the thing. It's just, I really don't think these people know what they're doing. They've got too much going on. And at the end of the day, all these government departments are running themselves. All these government departments have got, staff who are there permanent, and then you get these executives and they've got ideas and they want to do this and that, and then there's some cool new companies coming out with some cool new stuff, and they're like, oh, can we have this, can we have that, we've got to keep up with the times, and then the MPs aren't even there that often. Who is there permanently? Charles, right? Charles is there permanently, with the weird, the oath of oaths, the devil's oath. I can see no wrong. I can see no wrong. You can do no wrong. You can do no wrong. This is the devil's oath. This is the Fabians. They're like Sith, because they've all taken this devil's oath, the devil oath. You can see no wrong. I can do no wrong. I can see no wrong. Be alright if that fucking guy. Maybe. Joyce took that oath. Maybe Joyce should have been a Privy Councillor. I didn't do anything wrong. You know, just having a couple of drinks in the bar, and there's a couple of ruffians. I just nutted them out. That's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, be alright. You know, in fact, Charles could have got away with it. In fact, if Charles had been in there and had nutted 3 people and punched them out, he couldn't have been prosecuted because the Privy Council had said that they can't see him doing any wrong. He can do no wrong. He did. It was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. That. You know, this is the thing. You know, Joyce. You know, Joyce. You can't get. You know, Joyce is not allowed to headbutt anyone or punch anyone out, but apparently Charles can, because when it comes down to it, you know, when it comes down to the Lady Chief Justice, oh no, that's not wrong. He's just it's a new custom. It's a new custom. You know, how do you know that one, Joyce's customs? It's customary in Falkirk that if a couple of poshes behind you insult you, to punch them all out and nut them, right? To take that into a magistrate's court. Take that into a magistrate's court with a Magna Carta and the common law with a jury. Say, there's a jury to get into Crown. Why don't they get Joyce into Crown Court? Oh, it's customary in Falkirk. You know, if there's a couple of poshes in the bar, a couple of toffs in the bar in Falkirk, and you know, being a bit suave with the language, you can punch them all out and nut them. You know. It's just like, you know, and in fact, I learned it from Sean Bean. You know. Falkirk's just copying Sean Bean. He must be if they're showing it in movie cinemas with, you know, Pierce Brosnan. Apparently, it's cool. In fact, that's it. That's customary. It's modern culture. We're going to go watch an action film and entertain each other. Oh, now we'll show you what modern life's all about. Oh, look, it's 007 rolling down a corridor and then taking 3 people out, and then they insulted him in the bar, and then he elbowed him in the face. You know, oh, this is customary. You know, apparently, because according to this movie, according to Barbara Broccoli, it's customary. You know, this is the thing. Maybe it is customary in Falkirk if a couple of Tories, come out with snarky comments, you punch them straight out and fucking nut them. You know, you could argue that. In fact, if you're in a jury in Falkirk, they might have acquitted him. If you're in a jury in Falkirk, you might go off with it. Never mind parliamentary privilege. I wonder if that he actually did step down, or whether Parliament adjudged that he was guilty and he lost his place in Parliament. You know, but apparently when you've been elected, it's your electors that hold you there. Jeremy Corbyn didn't stand down, did he? Jeremy Corbyn didn't stand down when they said he was anti-Semitic. Why didn't they resist? You know, while you've been elected. Apparently you can't be imprisoned or arrested or put in prison while you're in session. So if he wanted to, as long as he's elected, effectively he only has to go into prison in between sessions, because until there's another election on. They can't make him stand down, I don't think. Although we'll get into that, because I've got to get on to reading about that next. But anyway, you know, so, you know, quite interesting. You'd have thought that they'd give him a trial in Westminster Hall or something, or the Supreme Court. You'd have thought, but maybe they could send him to Scotland. You know, although Alex Salmond is passed away now. You know. I can't even think of any MPs in Scotland whether they'd accept that behaviour anyway. Maybe Nicola Sturgeon would think that it's not acceptable behaviour. But then again, you know, the Scottish people aren't even that nice sometimes to English people. I've noticed online a lot of, in Scottish groups, delete and block a lot of things, particularly when they're English people, but I don't know how they can tell, judging by what name is or whatever. There is some strange behaviours, particularly from that My Smiley guy.